Hello, and welcome to another episode of Despite the Challenges, a show where we showcase people with amazing abilities who not only have overcome their impeding circumstances, not only they turn around their own lives, but they go out in the community and contribute in so many ways. Today, my guest is Miss Natalie Cabinda. Natalie had moved from West African country, Cameroon, several years ago when she left the comfort of her extended family and came to United States. A number of challenges that she has faced and how it made her stronger, and she has become an advocate of stronger families. Let's hear more from Ms. Cabinda herself. Natalie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Radio, and thank you for having me today.
You're very welcome.
It's a real pleasure.
Very welcome.
Thank you.
I have to say this, that even if you live from in a place that you grew up and you go to another state or few states away, it's always a challenge that you don't get to see family as often, talk to them as often. And years ago, we didn't have the technology we have today to send IMs and Skype, etc. So it was a challenge for me. I missed my family. Set that aside when your life turns around and you miss them even more and you are just thrown into life to make sense of all it. It's a big challenge.
It was
huge.
It was an unbelievable challenge for me, and one that I can't even begin to describe.
Well, you have to. Tell us your story.
Because I still remember traveling with two little babies from Cameroon, flipping airports. Even by the time I arrived here, I didn't go straight to my destination because I never imagined the United States was such a vast country. So I flew to Washington, D.C., thinking we had arrived and my babies were celebrating. Where is Daddy? Because my ex-husband had moved prior to me joining him. Where is Daddy? And they couldn't sleep that night because they couldn't see their dad. But we had spent the night with their uncle so that he could escort us on the airport on our way to California. The very next day.
So from Washington, D.C. to California, it's more than distance of going to the same as...
It was a long, unbelievable journey, but we made it. We made it. The first challenge for me, as I'll tell you, when you leave your family, as you yourself just said, when you leave your family behind and you're moving into a strange country, strange culture, strange way of life, totally different from what you are used to.
Everything new?
Everything is new. You get used to the food. You get used to the language. It's like starting all over.
Yes.
It's a new beginning.
That's what
my book is all about. My book is about starting over. Regroup, Refocus, Rebuild is about
I want to show it
starting over.
Show it to our viewers, her book, Regroup, Refocus, and Rebuild.
Yes.
And thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing your story, and I don't want to step ahead of ourselves, so let you explain your story and then we'll get to the book.
Right. So when we came here, of course, we had to go through the challenges of going through the immigration system, getting the right documents, being legal residents. It was a whole process which had its toll on us because as a family we had two children to take care of, and we just couldn't find the right jobs yet until we had the right papers to work. So, but eventually we went through that process because everybody who comes in here legally, it's a process for them too.
Adjusting is a process.
Yes.
Assimilation into new culture is a process.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't make less difficult for people to emotionally and in other ways to adjust to.
Absolutely.
Financially it adds another element, but
yes.
so
So eventually we did settle in just like everybody always does, and we picked up jobs. But then my life took a different turn. because the United States has other challenges that families coming from other countries are often not aware of. The family unit is not as strong here as it is in other cultures.
Okay.
What we discovered was that you are on your own, especially when you've left your extended family behind.
You don't have grandparents
You don't have
around. You don't have the
grandparents.
whole village to
You
raise
don't
the
have
kids.
access to babysitting.
Yes. Well, yeah,
So-
you don't have the whole village
You
to
don't
raise a
have the whole
child.
village. In fact, I had my son here, and I remember how depressed it was for me because my mom wasn't there. I wasn't allowed to spend days in the hospital like in my country. I had to be back home. My ex-husband wasn't even allowed to take off from work and stay home with me. Something I was never used to. So, but we overcame these challenges. We had goals that we had set. We came here for better opportunities for our children, for ourselves. So we picked ourselves up, set goals, and we started working on those goals until, of course, things didn't turn out
The way we planned.
We had planned.
But
So-
that's life.
Yes. So I faced one of the biggest challenges of my life. I was married for 17 years, but our relationship ended in 2005. And unlike most people, or a few people that I've come across who become so depressed they can't pick themselves up, I decided that it was time for me to regroup. I had to rebuild the family. When families fall apart, somehow you have to find the strength to move on, to rebuild. And that is what I did. I started rebuilding, regrouping my children. I had a vision. I knew exactly where I needed to get to. And we started working on that vision. I am not going to tell you, Ritu, that it was an easy journey. It was one of the toughest challenges.
And it is.
Yes.
It is.
Being in a country where you don't have your extended family. One of the things you need,
especially when you need it.
Especially when you need it. When families break apart, the first thing they need is a support system.
Yes.
And when that support system is not available to you, it makes...
It's very discouraging, depressing.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But I had to regroup a new entourage, a new support system. I had to make friends. I had to go out of my way to volunteer in the community so I could make friends with people who understood the situation I was in, who made it possible for me to have access to certain types of help that I might have needed or my children needed. So volunteering was a wonderful thing for me.
Well, that's good that
volunteering
you took
helped
that
me.
step.
Absolutely.
You
It helped me to forget my own problems and to focus on the problems of other people.
I like that because that's how most often people refocus themselves, is taking the focus away from the problem and seeking help or support.
Absolutely.
And if you could do that, yes, you can refocus. For many people that I'm sure that you have come across and I have, it's not an easy task. They get so withdrawn and not having the emotional support or comfort. Now you're financially distraught with the income being split and not enough to raise the kids. So it multiplies.
Absolutely. When my marriage fell apart, I was actually unemployed at the time. So being unemployed with no support system, no extended family, it was something I literally had to make up my mind that no, I have to move forward.
I do not want to give up.
I do not want to give up. I have to work hard to get there. Let me get back to volunteering. The first volunteering opportunity was at an elementary school. Now I enjoy reading. Reading is one of my favorite pastimes. So I decided to volunteer at an elementary school, and what I did was to go in once a week and read to the children.
Wow.
This was grade 1
I'm
and 2.
sure that must have been.
It was the most amazing experience because they look forward to seeing me come in. And as soon as I came in with a book, They all made a circle on a mat in the center of the room, and I sat in the middle and I read them stories and they asked questions. I have never seen kids so happy. To tell you the truth, I encourage children every single day to read, because reading opens their minds. Reading takes them to places they've never been to.
Absolutely.
It exposes them to cultures they've never seen.
Yes.
Makes them taste food they've never eaten. So reading is beautiful. So one of my volunteering jobs or opportunities was at an elementary school, and it was amazing experience for me.
So that was a kind of turning point in your life?
It was a turning point. I think it was the first indication that when you serve the community, when you forget your issues and your problems, and when you start giving to others, you glow.
Absolutely.
And you become something bigger than you had planned for.
Yes.
And that was the first step for me. I will volunteer in other places after that, but it was always a beautiful thing to be giving of myself and forgetting my own problems.
And you found a lot of joy.
You find a lot of joy. You come across people who have more issues than you do.
Yes.
And suddenly when you get home and you say, you know what? There's nothing wrong with my life. My life is perfect, because you came across people whose lives were even more disturbing than your life. Yes. So giving to the community is something that is very, very important to me.
Yes.
So yes, so I enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
I've
So
been teaching for
you
a
didn't fit into that norm of let them be whoever they want to be. Yes, but when the discipline is needed, you intervene.
Absolutely. And discipline means contacting parents.
Yes.
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 Contacting the appropriate administrators depending on the
With the child
offense.
for their benefit.
For their benefit. Absolutely.
And I'm sure parents realize that.
Yes.
And when those children who were reprimanded, they grow up and they're going to call, well, she was my favorite teacher because
Absolutely.
she made me
She made me do the work. Yes.
Or she corrected me not to do this.
Yes.
She taught me this lesson. I think this is the best compliment a teacher can have.
Absolutely.
You don't get it at that time when they are teens or preteens or teenagers.
No, I get it when they become doctors and lawyers and they sit in offices and engineers and pharmacists. And I always tell them, when you see me walking with a cane, you make sure you let me know where your office is, because I have to come look for you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you would have to wait for many years to get compliments for your work. Yes. So how did you overcome, of course, you as you mentioned that, family breaks apart. You don't have the extended family. And I want to say this, especially for our viewers, your story is, in a sense, is in a lot of people's story out there.
Absolutely.
Family breaking apart is in a common scenario these days in pretty much every culture. Even most socially conservative cultures is becoming more accepted. When you don't get along, the best way is that go on your own ways.
Yes.
The maximum impact is on the children. Regardless, to coming back to your story, when societies were not as open to, and you have families far away, and one of the challenges that I find is families back in their mindset feel like that you have become westernized. You don't value their ancestral values, and becomes difficult, right?
Yes.
It's like sort of abandonment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I'm sure that you had mixed messages came from your
Of course.
extended family.
Yes.
And dealing with all that, and then finding path to choose what you want to do, and being financially independent.
Yep.
And your story continued, and tell us then.
Well, to overcome the challenge, I had a few strategies in place. And I do discuss some of those strategies in my book, because the book was written to help people who are going through any kind of adversity. Even though when I wrote the book, my target was single mothers, because I know as a parent the struggle that mothers go through in raising children. But to overcome those challenges, the first thing I did, like I mentioned earlier, was to be optimistic, to have a positive outlook. That was the first thing. Then I surrounded myself with the right people.
Yes.
And these are people who propel you forward. These are people who offer a shoulder to cry on if you need it. These are people who believe in your dream, because everybody has a dream.
Yes.
These are people who push you to realize or achieve that dream. And then, of course, like you mentioned earlier, when you're divorced, you may find yourself in a financial situation which may not be a positive one. And if you're not very versed in finances, you hire a financial advisor. And that's exactly what I did. I went in search of one. I had a couple of names, and I called one up and I said, listen, I need help, because math was never my favorite subject in school. So he came and he helped me to kind of draw a financial map for me. And when that was done and set aside, then I sat down and set my goals. What is it that I want for me and for my children?
I wish more women out there take these kinds of steps.
Every woman has a dream. Every man has a dream.
Yes.
Mothers sometimes get married, and some spend years raising children, and so they're disconnected from the career world for quite a long time.
Yes.
And when a relationship ends, a few don't know how to get back on their feet, or even how to re-enter the career world, which is where my book comes in, because I discuss some of those strategies in my book, routes that they can take to recover and to rebuild.
So I just want to one more time show it for our viewers. The title of the book is Regroup, Refocus and Rebuild, and I like your subtitle, Helping Families Navigate from Breakups to Breakthroughs.
Absolutely.
This isn't a very strong message. Breakups to breakthroughs.
Yes.
You know,
it's like opening a window. It's like letting them know there's a window. The sun is going to come in. Just look at that window.
Yes.
See the sun
so
rays.
if you're crying, your eyes are closed.
You can get there.
You can lose
get
it.
there. Yes. And another strategy I discuss in the book, in terms of setting goals, is planning. For mothers,
of course, planning
we
is
have a million schedules. If you don't plan, you might end up not achieving half of the goals you set for yourself. So I discuss strategies on how to navigate between all of these schedules, your schedule and the children's schedules, and how to still create time for yourself.
Very important, because that kind of discipline keeps you on target.
Absolutely.
And when you're raising children as a single parent, it's a very good role model for your children.
They're watching you.
They're watching you.
Every single step you take,
they're watching you. And I want to add that they're criticizing you when they're in front of you.
Absolutely.
But they're adopting from you.
Yes.
You know, it's the kind of both ways that you're proud of, and then what they're learning from you, what they're becoming, the values they're adopting.
Yes.
At the same time, they become teenagers. It's a very difficult stage for a parent.
Yes,
you know,
it is
you raise them. You want that kind of, I'm sharing my experience. You want that protective environment for them, and they want to free away from it.
Yes.
And you want to bring them closer, and they want to free away. It's frustrating as a parent.
It is a challenge.
When you, especially single parent, you become overprotective of them. Right. So anyway, that I wanted to kind of just throw that in.
Yes.
But so I really admire that, you know, the courage that it took for you not only to find your path, but then be a advocate to help others, which we see a whole lot of families out there that need this kind of guidance, etc.
Absolutely, they need it, and the kids need it too.
Yes, and I think
I give tons of strategies in the book for mothers to help their children at home. Because believe me, there are a lot of mothers out there who do not know how to help their kids at home.
Anything that stands out, just for our audience, anything that you want to share?
For example, academic help. Every parent needs to be on top of their child, and it doesn't matter how old the child is. If you have a good, positive communication going on with your children, they can always share where they're struggling. And if you have access, if you cannot directly help them, if a child is too advanced in math and you don't understand math, hire a tutor. If you don't have money to hire a tutor, talk to the teachers. There are a lot of teachers that always stay after school to help children.
There are always ways.
Yes.
And then these days, like a Khan Academy, and there are some other options for low-cost options for other children, or free options, as you said. And I think this is very important, especially for, I want to say that for our viewers, parents sometimes don't step in their children's education as they should.
And as they should. I understand.
And I'm not blaming parents. It's because of their careers require so much out of them. Working long hours and a single
working
parent,
2 or 3 jobs like
exactly,
myself.
Exactly. So there is no time left for a parent to intervene in a child's education.
That reminds me of going to the gym. I have made so many excuses about not going. I work 2 or 3 jobs. I have 3 kids. I don't have time. But as I began to work on my life, I realized you can create time for anything.
Yes.
You just need to sacrifice certain things. It's a conscious decision to make time for your children. It's a very conscious decision. Yes. You have to unplug certain things.
And sometimes those moments to connect can be a few minutes.
Yes, just a few minutes. It's not too much.
You mentioned.
Yes, that's why I say it's not too much. Maybe sometimes parents might think, oh, maybe I need like an hour or 2 every day. No, you don't have that time. Just that
children would not take
10 to 15 minutes that you have of quality time.
Yes.
Now, quality time, which is something I want, since we are addressing an audience that is listening, quality time means make sure they turn away the gadgets, the devices. Communication cannot take place if you've got a kid that's on the cell phone texting or responding to text while you're trying to communicate with your child.
Yes, and I think that's in a given age, and the younger generation, as they are so tuned into the gadgets, it's a challenge both ways.
It is a huge challenge for parents.
For parents, and I'm sure it's for children too.
Yes.
Because they see everyone else doing it, they don't see anything wrong with it.
Yes.
They're born into that era that is a common scenario. So for them to imagine their life, what their peers are doing without it is different.
It is. It is different, and it is difficult.
And what do you suggest for parents to how do they break away their children from their cell phones?
Well, like I mentioned before, it's all about that positive communication. If you set aside that family time and good things happen during that family time, your children will always put away their gadgets. For me, it was prayer time. We went from prayers to singing. From singing, it was easy to have communication. It was even easy to correct some of the things they did that week that I didn't like. Because the mindset had been changed, had been fine-tuned. They were now open to discussions. Because if you create family time to be a lot of fun and then throw in that 1 or 2 things that you want to correct, it will work. It will always work. But if family time is about negative criticism, it's not going to work for the kids.
Well, it's for anybody.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be children, even adults. Nobody would want to engage in that conversation.
Yes.
What do you want to achieve?
Well, what I want to achieve is to actually reach out to the families that really need me to help them. Like I said before we started, my passion is to help build stronger families. If I can
a
be
noble goal.
Yes, that is my goal. With audience, I created a little gift for them. I call it the neon light.
All right, let's share that.
Yes,
Let's
I love
share that.
lights because if you walk into a dark room, what happens? The room becomes very bright because you have a light, on you. If you turn on a switch and the light comes on, you attract beautiful things to yourself. So the light I have for your audience is called the neon light.
Wow. So I want you to explain that to the audience, what it means.
Yes.
All right.
The N stands for a new you, a new beginning, a new start whenever you have any kind of adversity. And we know life is filled with adversity.
That's
Life always
N
happens.
for newness.
Yes.
All right.
So whenever things happen that are negative, remember the N of it's a new beginning. It's a new start.
N is for new
It's a
beginning.
new you.
All right. So,
The E stands for empowerment.
okay.
Empower yourself. When you empower yourself, you have esteem, high
Absolutely.
esteem. Yes.
Yes.
So the N is empowerment. And the O is organization. Sometimes we think of
Yes.
organization as just a physical space, but I'm referring to both the physical and the mental organization. Because if your mind is in the right place, you will get to the goals that you have set for yourself.
Absolutely. Yes.
So I advise people to kind of have the mental organization, which is the right mindset, so that they can get on the destination that they have set for themselves. The final N is the nurturing. How often
wow.
do we as mothers take care of everybody else, but never take care of ourselves? Too
For
often.
my viewers, I want to repeat that. We're running out of time.
Okay.
Neon light
Neon
is
light.
brighten up your life.
Yes.
N for new beginning.
It's a new beginning.
O for
Empowerment.
E for empowerment.
E for empowerment. O for
Organizing.
Yes.
And then
N for
nurturing.
nurturing.
Wow. Such a powerful message.
Absolutely.
Yes. Natalie, I wish you a lot of luck with your projects and especially your new book. And yes, please share your information on Facebook.
Yes.
And for Mother's Day cruise, a day
Absolutely.
before Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
Actually. Well, it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It was
You're
a
very
pleasure.
welcome.
Thank you for having me on your
Very
show.
welcome.
Thank you.
So for our viewers, you heard Natalie Cabinda and how she has presented herself in a new light, and I hope that neon model helps you as much as it has helped her to brighten her life. And I am host Ritu Chopra. You are watching Despite the Challenges. Until next time.